Sullivan. I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor. Welcome to my YouTube station. Today I'm going to talk to you about getting bills and notices from the Internal Revenue Service. I worked at IRS for 10 years. I was a teaching instructor there. I'm a national figure on the IRS tax resolution scene. I've been on the news many times. You can look at my videos at 777irs.com, and more importantly, you can see my team of former IRS agents. I worked thousands of cases with Internal Revenue Service. I've been doing this really for 50 years, so there's a lot of garbage out on YouTube. My son asked me, he said, Dad, you should start your YouTube station because you're always going to tell the truth, so I tell you these things. I'm going to talk to you today about IRS notices and IRS bills and the cycles they have. So when you file a tax return from Internal Revenue Service, you kind of activate a process. So let's say you file your tax return on April 15th. Maybe by, let's say, June maybe or so, maybe a little earlier, especially if you e-file, your return hits the IRS computer system if you owe money. And as soon as that return actually gets on their computer system, you create what's called the TC-150. That's the transaction code terminology that IRS uses, and that's the day that your assessment starts. That's the date of assessment. Actually, from that date, just so you know, the 10 years runs. There's a 10-year collection statute. If IRS doesn't collect the money from that date, then everything goes away. There's things that extend the statute, but normally that's how that works. So IRS looks at the return. If there's an error on it, you'll get a CP 2000. There's a couple million of those. Just because people calculate things wrong, IRS catches them and they send you that CP 2000 notice. But normally, if you don't, you'll get a CP 14 notice just to say, hey, you owe the money. And then from there, you'll get a CP 501. CP is just a code of letters. I don't know what it stands for. Maybe collection process. I don't know. Then from the CP 501, you get the CP 503, and everything runs in 6 weeks billing cycles normally. So when you file, 6 weeks later, CP 14, 6 weeks later, 501, 6 weeks later, 503, 6 weeks, 504. So this 504 letter is the nasty letter. It's telling you that we are going to seize, we're going to do this, we're going to take your kids. Some people don't mind that. So when that CP 504 notice, you have to have a really good idea what you want to do. Once IRS makes formal notice and demand and you don't pay, actually it gives them a right to go ahead and file a federal tax lien. So you will have appeal rights 6 weeks after the 504, where you can tell, hey, IRS, I want to appeal this assessment. And you can do that on various grounds. When you file the notice of appeal, you can say, well, I need this put in hardship, I need a payment agreement, or I can do an offer, or the liability's wrong. You can do this at any point in time. What you have to do is you have to have an exit strategy when you owe a tax debt. That is, when are you going to call IRS? Who are you going to hire? What are you going to do? Am I going to make a payment agreement? When you owe a debt, you have to decide, what am I going to do? You can't wait and wait and wait till all the letters run out, because at the end of that CP notice, that 1058 letter, you are going to get a bank levy and or a wage garnishment and or a federal tax lien. So you need to make decisions on what you want to do. That decision is going to be based on there are three options that you can go ahead and close your case with IRS: a payment agreement, a hardship, or a offer and compromise. So when you call IRS, you have to be prepared to know what IRS is going to do with your case. When you give your financial statement to IRS on a 433F form, they are going to help make that decision for you by either putting you in hardship, a payment agreement. The offer is not really an option. You can file that offer anytime, in fact, that you want. as long as you qualify. Don't just file an offer if you're not qualified, because you're going to extend your statute of limitations. So the bottom line is, when you get a notice, you have to at least know what you're going to do and when you're going to call. When you get that CP 504 notice, it's going to be really serious. By that time, you should at least hire someone or make a decision when you want to call IRS to resolve it. You have any questions, call me. In the meantime, if you give me a subscription, I'd appreciate it. We thrive on subscriptions, just so you know, because YouTube says they're important. So thank you.